I'm Megan.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Erica.
And this is the Her Podcast.
All right, everybody. You may know her as half of the Carousel Media Management team and 2/3 of the Her Podcast. Today, my girl CJ is in the hot seat. She's the organized one, the one that schedules our meetings, sends reminders, and keeps us accountable. She's obviously brilliant and super, super poised, which is something I just love about her. Compassionate and quick on her feet. She's always learning and expanding. She loves a good book and a day spent dirt biking, which is like one of our favorite little things to do when she's out here in the spring. We're really excited for you guys to get to know her a little better. I always say she's like the little enigma of our team because everyone knows Megan and I really well, but this is your chance to get to know CJ. So here we go.
Can we sing our questions?
CJ.
Don't look at that.
Am I
You're
the
good
flow?
at-
Oh, you're the flow coordinator. Okay.
Well,
You're good at
we
just
can
asking
both
questions
be.
off the cuff.
We can both
Don't
be.
look at that.
Get it.
I think we can both be.
Get it
I actually had a question for you that I asked you out there, but you didn't hear me.
What? Oh my gosh, was I in my own world?
You were
'Cause
looking
that
in the
happens
mirror.
sometimes.
Thank you very much. CJ was looking in the mirror.
Only because I'm in the hot seat. I'm like, that camera's going to be on me so much.
Yeah. And you look beautiful.
Yeah.
But I asked you, where were you born? That's okay. Where were you born? Because I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Calgary.
Okay.
I'm a
Okay.
Calgarian through and through.
But then,
which is very rare, actually,
Okay.
because a lot of people either are born there and then move away, either to a bigger city or back to rural. And we have a lot of people that are not born in Calgary that live in Calgary.
yeah, because I thought for
And my
some reason you were
husband
born here.
Is actually born and raised in Calgary too.
Oh,
Yeah. So the two of us.
yeah.
Which
Found
was
each
kind of
other
wild.
on one end of the city to the other.
Literally.
How did you
the
meet
north
him?
and the south.
Oh, like at a club? Did you meet at the club?
We need to put in the
Okay, pause.
this is hilarious.
Okay.
Because you don't know the story.
Well,
Oh,
and
is
just
this
like-
podcast safe? Is this safe for podcasting?
This is like they could tell their story to like children in a library book
Did
reading
you
session.
see each other across the aisle or
They're
something?
just like so precious, these
oh my
two.
gosh, tell
Okay,
me.
so my husband and I met at a camp. At a kids camp because I grew up in the north and he
kids'
grew up in
Bible
the south.
camp.
Yes,
Were you
in
camp
the south.
counselors?
No,
Oh,
we were
you met as
attendees.
children?
Yes, I was like 10 and he was 12.
Older guys.
Oh my gosh, you're
Yes.
like Lauren and Michael.
Yes.
Is that how they met?
They were met when they were like 12.
Yeah.
God, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we met when we were quite young at a Bible camp in the summer because we both attended similar churches, like denomination. And he was
Right.
in the north and I was in the south. Went to this camp for summer. He definitely had eyes for me, like me. He was like, hey, let's
Obviously.
hang out. And I was like, I will not date an older man. I was like, I will not be involved
Also,
in an
you
older
were like,
man.
I'm 10.
I was like, no, thank you. Like, that is just like off limits. I was like, we will hang out, but in big groups. I was like, so if you want to hang out with like 10 or 20 of us, that's fine. But I was like, I will not hang out with you solo. Also, I should preface this by saying, even though I say I met him at a Bible camp, my husband has a very colorful background. And so
Okay.
he was a
Was
wild
he a
child.
hooligan?
Yes, and involved in illicit things. So it was like I am like this. I this feels weird to say about myself, but I think that someone would describe me in comparison, especially at that time in my life. I'd be like this like white angel, and he'd be like this like black blob over here, and they'd be like, no, those two don't go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we became friends at a really, really young age, which is great. And we always stayed in connection. He will tell you this, and it's so funny. The first time he got Facebook, within an hour, I like friended him and wrote on his wall. And it's like still there to this day
Is
because we
that
don't
how
really
the
use.
story really happened?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, literally. So I'm like, we just like have always connected back and forth. And then I went overseas to do school in Australia, and he actually went and did a similar program in Mexico. And
Okay.
we were set to be in South Africa in Durban in this like town at the same time and overlap. And then something happened in my life. Nothing crazy. Well, and I didn't
more
go
on
to
that
Africa. And I came home, and so our paths didn't connect there. But he ended up coming home after his program was done, and he was like, hey, we should meet. We were now adults.
You were like 18, 19?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I would have been 19. And he was like, we should meet up for coffee and like connect. We've just done similar programs in life.
Yeah.
Like, let's connect. And I was like, yes, actually. I was like, 100% that makes sense. So we
In
got
a group
together.
of 10.
No
CJ's
longer.
like, only if there's 5 other
No
people there.
chaperones this time, guys.
He's like, I've been waiting my whole life.
literally, I'm like, poor guy, just like so patient. So then we met up and we had coffee. And you guys, in hindsight, we say that we started dating that day. Because from that day on, for the next year, we saw each other every single day. And
So
we
cute.
started dating pretty quick, like actually dating pretty quick after. But we got engaged 6 months in and married on our 1-year anniversary of dating.
I did not know any of that.
Yeah,
But my first question is,
Yeah.
what did you write on his Facebook wall?
that's a good question. Probably like, hey, how are you? Hi.
Like, I just
I
find
like
it
you.
so funny. Like what
Yeah.
we used to write on Facebook.
I
don't know.
We could go
Yeah.
back in time and look, and maybe we'll share it with the listeners.
Yeah, I have no idea what it would have been.
But did he date or was he like waiting for you?
No, he dated.
And
we
you
both
dated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we both dated, but we were both friends. You know how you have a connection with someone,
Yeah.
right? Like, someone, but you're never wrong place, wrong time,
Right.
those types of things. So
Yeah.
I think we always had this like kismet, like towards each other.
I love that.
Yeah, and now obviously we've been married 10 and a half years, which no one believes me when they look at my face, and I'm like, yes, my baby face. I'm like,
Work
but-
it, love it, live
yeah,
it.
we've been together for over a decade. So, yeah, but again, we got married so fast because we knew each other, right? And so I already
Right.
knew like his family, I knew like his upbringing, right? And even though we lived in separate areas of the city and didn't actually physically see each other, we would see each other at camp, and then, obviously with
Facebook?
Camp relationships and friendships are my favorite because they're so unique.
Yeah.
And there's like, you don't see each other all year and then you
Yeah.
like see each other and it's like nothing it's like catch up,
Yeah.
spend like intense time together. And then you're like,
It's
Yeah.
like
See you
the
here.
retreats of your childhood.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I've never
That's
been
literally
to camp.
what it is.
A day in my life, I've never been
so
to
what
camp.
you
So
did on
Susie's
your
school,
is like
That
camp.
was
like camp.
And we
Yeah.
joked because we were in bunk beds in our
Yes.
room that we were like at sleepaway camp. That or we felt like we're in the Bachelor Mansion.
yeah, totally, that would make sense.
Yeah, but I love that.
But that's a similar
Yeah,
experience
I've
to
never.
camp for you.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That would be
totally.
the closest I would think.
Yeah.
Because, but I always thought like how cool it would be to go to camp. I didn't know you guys both did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, you take your kids. You guys do a family one.
yes,
Yeah, which is very cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
Camp is really fun.
Okay, so fun.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Did you have a big wedding?
Oh, are
Nope.
we
Did you
getting
elope?
into it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I can go there, and I can also go funny places. No, I
Do
had
both.
a very small wedding.
Was
Actually,
Erica invited?
We
Nope.
didn't know each other.
No.
So, okay.
Nick
What
was in
was
the wedding.
Nick
Let's-
invited?
Yeah, so
Oh.
let's drop a little bit of like cutesy history here for a second.
I
'cause
forget.
Nick and we have to say it every time because
Yes.
someone
Yeah.
might be
Yeah.
Nick, my husband, and CJ are cousins. So you got married what year?
2012.
That was so the 2011 to 2012, like that fall was the time that I like turned to Nick and was like, I need a 2-week break. Like I need a minute to breathe because we were like together on and off. So and then
Was
that turned into 2
before-
years.
Okay.
That turned into 2 years. So
Yeah.
I remember seeing photos of Nick like at CJ's wedding and he looked so good. And I remember just being like,
Very handsome guy.
well, he was wearing like a white shirt and he looked so nice. And I was like sitting there being like, okay. Anyways.
Okay. How
So
do I
it's funny
plot
that
my-
like we wouldn't have known each other,
No.
but I would have like
No.
seen from Larissa too.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Nick's sister was in her wedding.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes. Okay. So there's multiple versions of this wedding. So number one, it was a small wedding. Okay. I don't know if I go backstory first. I guess I go backstory first. So this is the period. If you've listened to some of our other solo episodes, I will just lightly explain it again. But my parents started to separate and divorce.
Right.
And that happened literally at the time of my wedding. And so, yep. What I will say is my wedding was very small. There was a lot of emotion tied to it. My dad was not at my wedding and his family was not at my wedding. My mother and her family were present. And so what actually ended up happening is I wanted the physical gathering to be so small.
Yeah.
I was very overwhelmed. I was very anxious. So technically I got married in our pastor's office the day before we got married.
Okay, I love this.
Yeah. which
Yeah.
is really fun. We signed the papers the day before, and then we physically got married outside at Upper Kananaskis Lake. And we got ready at my in-laws' house, and then I was like, I'm not sitting in this dress for 2 hours. So I got into my wedding dress in an outhouse.
Well, and weren't you not supposed to get married there? Like, they were like, you're not allowed to get married here. And you were like, we're just doing
You're
it.
supposed to have permits. And
You
to
just-
anyone
you
else
just
out
rolled
there,
up?
we literally everybody rolled up and just pulled out lawn chairs. And it was like,
I'm here for this.
just did the wedding. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
a small wedding. So it was only like really immediate family in our wedding party. And it was 2 on each side for our wedding party. And then my brother-in-law is a pastor down in California. And so he married us.
Cool.
I say in air quotations because we got married the day before,
Yes.
but he performed the wedding ceremony at our wedding. And then after that, we literally got changed out of our clothes and went to this little place. I think it was Opal Creek, Opal something, just on the road. And like, you know, I had nieces and nephews that were there, and we just like played soccer and had a picnic, and it was like so lovely. And then the next day we had, this is going to seem so wild maybe to people, I don't know, very untraditional, but we had a smaller but bigger than this gathering of people at, I need to regroup. Where was it? How do I explain this?
It was
10 years
Is that
ago.
like a ranch?
Yes. So we have friends that own a little horse ranch, like family friends. And so we had an outdoor like tent reception.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for. We
So
had
it was like a weekend affair.
yes.
I love that. My friend Chelsea, hi Chelsea, did a weekend affair for her wedding, and it was so fun.
Well, a lot of cultures actually do like
Yes.
weekend, like
Yes.
we pile it all into one day.
yes,
But a lot of people actually do multiple things, and it's
Yeah.
like different this and that and different outfits. And
I think one of the best weddings I ever attended was in Georgia. My friend,
oh my gosh, like
shout out Amanda.
a Southern wedding.
Yes. So she was in my wedding, and then I was in hers, and she got married on a plantation that was like this big, beautiful house and like this big, beautiful space. And they rented it for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days.
So
and
they
there was
stayed
like
there.
a pool. So everyone in the wedding party and the family stayed at this thing. And so we basically all got to get away and like retreat, and then the wedding, and then a celebration afterwards.
That would be so fun to all just be together.
well,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a destination wedding, I feel.
Yeah,
Right, 'cause you're all like-
does she live there? Is that
Yes.
why?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like when you all
Totally.
go together and you're like,
I've never been to a destination
no,
wedding.
me
but
either.
yeah.
I would
My
never
friends
have one, but
some of my friends have, and I did not go. Sorry, Gary.
I just like, yeah. Anyways, that's how you guys got married, and that's
I
very
love
sweet.
it.
And
yeah.
yeah, they're very precious, those two.
I haven't met him yet. I saw him walk by on the Zoom the other day,
Okay.
and I haven't met him yet.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
great. I mean, he's my best friend. I absolutely love and adore you, Ben. And emotional. Yeah, no, he's like really precious to me, right? And I think
Yeah.
likewise. And I wouldn't be where I am today without him.
Aw.
Yeah.
I love so much that you guys have been so connected since you were kids. I did not know that.
Isn't that fun?
I love that.
I think-
So fun.
I think there's something to be said. And again, I'm not trying to like flip it to me, but like Nick and I grew up together and we knew each other. Like he was in grade 1 and first time we met, I was 2 and he was 3, like in a nursery at church. So
Is there photo evidence?
No, we don't remember
how
this
great would
at all.
that be?
But imagine, I look back on photos my parents took of me at a Christmas choir at school in the kids choir, and Nick is in it.
Oh.
So I think there's something so beautiful when
That's so
you
cool.
really know someone.
Yeah.
And I can like reflect, and like so many of our stories are integrated. Like when we talk to our
Yes.
kids now, we'll be like, do you remember this? Or we go to the school and we're like, this was our school. And it's just like
Yeah.
something so a different level of intimacy, I feel, in a way.
Yeah. No, it's really precious to just, and again, you understand people from a deeper perspective, right? Because you're like, I know your community, I know your values, right? I know some of the things that you've gone through, and you don't have to explain that, which is okay too. But it's just, it feels like to me a deeper understanding and a deeper knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a fun one,
Cute.
right?
So speaking of like knowing someone from childhood, what was your childhood like?
What was my childhood?
Because you kind of alluded to camp, so clearly we knew you were like doing that. But like, what were you like?
This was actually also a listener question.
I know,
Wanted to
but I'm
more
like, what do
about
people want to
CJ.
know about my childhood? You know, I'm like,
Well, like I did not know you grew up in Calgary for one.
Okay.
I for sure thought you grew up here and moved there.
no, yeah. So born and raised in Calgary. Grew up in a wonderful home. We played outside lots. My brother, I'm very close to my brother. He's 5 years younger than me, actually. And we have a great relationship. I walked to all of my schools. They were all within walking distance, which is like really fun. I was very involved in like my church and my community growing up.
Did you do any sports growing up?
Oh my gosh, I knew you were going to ask that. I literally was like, should I say it? Should I not? I did one sport,
Were you like
guys.
a star
and I'm
tennis
gonna
player?
make you guess it.
Okay.
Do you know it? No, you don't even know.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
No, I do know it. I'm
Is
just
it-
not remembering.
Okay, don't say it.
Is it a sport that we would expect? Do a
No.
lot of people do this sport?
No.
Badminton.
No. So I wrestled
What?
in high school.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry for screaming into the microphone.
Not very good. Don't worry about it. But I'm like, it was actually, I wanted to play rugby is what I wanted to do. And my parents were like, you cannot play rugby. That's too, I don't know. They were worried about my.
It's a very aggressive sport.
I know, but I actually have a lot of aggression, you guys. And so I was very prepared to take it out on the field. And they were like, you can do wrestling, but not rugby. And I was like, okay, I'll take it out on one person instead of a whole team.
Could you like wrestle us to the ground?
No.
I'm sorry.
you
I
know.
would whoop her butt.
But she might know the moves.
No,
to
no,
like,
no. This was
okay.
years and
I
years
very
ago.
confidently do
Yes.
not think so.
No.
I love you, but
No.
she
100%
wrestled me with
no.
a mind.
Yeah.
Well, CJ is a mind wrestler.
But I can definitely take her.
My mind is blown. I have so many questions. Carry on.
No, yeah. So I wrestled. And so, okay, fun fact. So at this camp where I met Ben, my husband, fast forward later, we ended up being counselors, right? And so
Of course.
as a counselor, you get a camp name. So the kids don't call you by your real name.
Yes.
And everyone is trying to guess, as kids would, what your real name is.
Is
and
this
so
a common?
Yeah.
This is a
like
camp thing.
names. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, as attendees, do you have a camp name as well, or is it
no,
just
it's like only the counselors
Yeah.
have a camp name.
Yeah.
And so that's what you are called by. And that's what you, so you're trying to like, so you go with friends in your community and you're like, I can't call you Megan. I have to call you Starfish all week.
Or like it would maybe be something like to do with you.
why?
Yes.
So my sister Meredith, when she was a counselor, because she did all the like, like pictures and crafty things, they called her Crayola for the week.
So
So I'm like,
I
guess
don't
what mine
understand
was.
why.
It's
But
just
okay.
camp culture.
Okay.
Because you've never
Yeah.
been. It's just
yeah.
it's like goofy things you do at camp.
So
Okay.
my camp name was Singlet because that's what you wear when you wrestle.
Okay.
I'm like,
That's also like a
okay.
tricky word for children, but okay.
Cool. Cool.
Okay.
What would be your camp name?
I have no idea because I don't like what would be my camp name.
Yeah. Ooh, we should give her a camp name
I
right
feel like
now.
we could
Please.
call her Jewel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Because
cute.
of jewelry.
Oh, that would make so much
Right?
sense.
Call her
Oh my gosh,
Jewel.
fun.
I love that.
Guys, I have a camp name now.
You have a camp name.
The funny thing that happens though at camp is like if you become, so it's like a counselor in training and then a counselor at our camp. So I'm like at 16, you go to this camp and you get named something because of what you're doing when you're 16. But a lot of these people will stick through until they're 80 or 70 in this camp.
What?
Well, you know what I mean? You come back as like maintenance or you're like in the
Okay.
staff, cooking.
Right.
And I'm like, you keep that name. Like once you have a name and it goes in the book with this specific camp, like you can't change it. And so it's funny because, if you come and get introduced into the camp at like 40, like great, but I'm like, some of these names are from when you were like so
16.
small and it doesn't really relate to you anymore.
What would your camp name be then, Erica?
Princess Sparkle Dust.
Princess Sparkle Fart.
The pink pineapple. I don't know.
Pink Panther. No, so this is funny to me, the names, because my grandpa like founded a camp.
Do I know that?
You know the family camp we go to
Oh,
every
I
year?
didn't realize your grandpa.
My grandpa like founded it.
Oh, okay.
And like didn't like it's not our camp,
but it's your
but
camp.
it's
I think we
it's
both have grandpa
it's
founders.
Yeah. And
Did your grandpa found a camp? I am literally behind on this whole camp thing.
So my grandpa and grandma are, I believe, 98 and 96, and people still call them Chips and Chipper.
Yeah.
Because they were together and they decided their names were Chips and Chipper.
I don't actually, now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I have no idea why
Is
it's
this
Chips.
how so many older people got like wild nicknames?
Maybe.
Probably, or like when I remember I dated a guy and I met his grandpa and he was like, this is my grandpa, or Babs. And I was like,
Excuse me.
I'm supposed to call him Babs. And they were like, you can if you want. And I was like, no.
Okay.
What up, Babs?
Hi, Babs.
Okay, what was Ben's name? Are we allowed to say
remember.
hooligan? Just kidding. You said he was a
I
hooligan.
literally can't remember.
Oh my gosh, so funny. Okay.
Yeah. I knew you were gonna. I was sitting here thinking like, what was my family and Ben's name, and I can't remember.
Okay.
Anyways,
This is
it's
wild
just
to me. So you were a wrestler. You
Yeah.
were a singlet.
Yeah.
Did you win any competitions?
I don't think that I was all that good because I don't think that it-
Breaking
here-
news,
Here's the
CJ.
thing. Here's the thing. You get placed in a weight category.
Yes.
Right.
So I am very tall,
Yes.
right? And so I'm like, I weigh a certain weight category, and I am against someone who is a lot shorter and a
Right.
lot more sturdy.
Right.
But we're in the same weight category.
Yes.
So I'm like this spider out here against this like
It's
rock.
like Avatar.
That I can
Against
see,
a rock.
actually.
You know? And so
You
I'm
should have
like,
just encased them.
Yeah.
And rolled
how do
around.
I like roll this rock over
I
that's
would
like
call you
immovable?
Black Widow.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's your new camp
They
name.
That's
came
a
up
good
with
one.
singlet. It's like
They were
if someone saw me wearing a
16.
thong and they were like, "We're going to call you G-string."
Right?
I call you
Literally.
Akon.
Akon.
I don't know. You guys won't even know this.
Like-
Akon sang the thong song.
Yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah.
I'm clever like
yes,
that.
Yes, I
Anyway.
understand. Oh, you're so smart. I love that. Yeah, so I wrestled. And honestly, mainly I did it because, okay, two things. One, my best friend at the time went and did wrestling, and our social teacher was the wrestling coach, and he badgered us to join. And he was like, we need more people on the wrestling team. And we adored him. Like, he was like
was
a really great
recruiting
teacher.
you.
Yes. And then when my best friend joined, I was like, well, I guess I should just like do it. Yeah.
This
anyways.
is making my
Well,
whole day.
yeah, we can fast forward from that. But that's, yeah, an interesting fact about me.
Okay, and then what did you take in college? Because you went and traveled, and you said you were going to do your schooling overseas. What was the intention for schooling?
The intention for schooling was to take teaching English as a second language. So like
Okay.
TESOL and TESOL and all of those things. And to be able to take that. But I primarily... okay, well, we can go to this. When I started work, I've done lots of work that was not like work. You know what I mean? Like I did coffee shops and like babysitting and like mowing lawns
Absolutely.
and all that good stuff. But my first actual job. Why are you laughing, Akon?
It's like mowing.
We're now going to refer to each other. I'm going to be like, we have Jewel in the hot seat today. Princess Sparkle Fart.
And the Black Widow
And the
singlet.
Black Widow.
I just had a vision of you mowing the lawn in your singlet.
And you
I
guys,
was like,
the school I went to
Who
was
is this
orange.
woman? So
the
was
color
mine.
was orange.
Orange and green.
So they were like
Hideous.
orange and blue. And like
Wow.
it's like that awful material. And they like
So
go down to just
70s.
above the knees. Like I'm like, guy, like we could find photos.
Is there
but
a
I'm like,
photo?
oh, 100%. We were in the paper.
Remember being in the paper?
Oh my.
And then your parents would cut it out and stick it on the
We have
fridge.
the clipping.
This is before things were online, you guys. Everybody in Calgary got the paper, and CJ was in it.
I look good in my singlet. Like it's fine. I obviously was like
Obviously.
a hot blonde in my singlet. I'm like,
Obviously.
all the guys were like, we're going to show up to the wrestling match to watch this Black Widow.
Ben was like,
Just get
snip,
taken
snip, snip,
down.
cut that out, put it
Her
on my
matches-
wall.
But damn, she looked good doing it.
Her matches were 1 second.
She's like, well, go mow the lawn.
in my singlet.
Oh,
As punishment for losing the match.
Yeah, it's like you have to run lines, but like CJ's got to go mow the lawns.
Oh my god.
Good Lord. Okay. Continue. You were going to teach English as a second language course.
Oh, I was gonna go back actually to like my working background. So I actually got my first job as a gift wrapper. Is everything I say just like embarrassing and fun? My whole life is just one giant embarrassment.
No,
you
I
guys.
don't think it's embarrassing. I think what it is
The way I say it.
It's
You're
all very
so-
random to me.
Yes, and again, actually, just on our previous episode, we were talking about how you're so private. So I think everything we're learning about you. I mean, I know this stuff, but it's hilarious for me to hear through her ears because she's hearing it for the first time. But also, it's just the way you deliver news. You're just like, I was a.
You're so matter of fact and articulate. And you're like, my first job after wrestling and mowing lawns was
A gift wrapper.
And
I'm dying.
let me tell you, every gift was perfectly wrapped.
It was.
Of course it was. She
was
had a
like-
system even back then, you guys.
But
Okay.
who was it for?
At the Bay or what?
No. Okay. So I worked for Fruits and Passion.
Oh, remember Fruits and Passion?
Yes.
Right. Are they still around?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll get to that if you want me to.
I do.
So I started as
I want to talk about
a
soap.
gift wrapper.
How did you get that job? Did you like see it? Did you hear about it?
So
Someone tell
my
you?
brother's hockey team,
Someone.
our neighbor,
Her social studies team.
I saw your singlet in the paper and I decided I'm going to contact that girl
That's
to
our
be a
girl.
gift wrapper.
She looks like she gets it done. Let's hire her. I can't stop.
I'm loving this.
It's
This
like-
is great.
No one
I
else
thought my episode was going to be
recording.
too serious.
Oh,
and I'm like,
God.
this is fantastic.
This is
This
the
is bringing
most-
me joy.
This
so
is
this
the
is
most
great.
fun I've had recording an episode. Okay.
I agree.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe we need to get me. All right. Okay. Loosen it up a little,
Random-
guys.
I
Get
think
it
we
going.
just need a random facts with CJ episode
This
every
is the
now
thing
and
is
then.
that
Random.
CJ's very serious and very put together and very pointed and very like when she speaks to you, it's like very intentional.
Yes.
So to get her in a situation where she's kind of just rambling about her life,
Like-
is actually a different perspective, and
Yes.
that's why it's fun because
Yeah.
I think the flip is if I get real serious, people are like,
What's
"Ooh,
happening?
What's happening?"
Zone in.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
Go ahead.
Love
Okay.
that.
Gi-
Okay.
We're gift wrapping.
We're gift wrapping at Fruits and Passion. So it was a neighbor. It was a neighbor
Okay.
who was on my brother's hockey team, came forward and was like, hey, she worked there. The mom
Was
did.
it seasonal?
And she was like, hey, we need like a seasonal gift wrapper for
Right.
Christmas. Like, I think CJ could do this, you know? Like, I obviously worked at like concession stands, like at the hockey arenas and stuff. So she'd seen me interact.
Obviously.
Obviously, you guys. I was just doing my thing. And so, the smell of like
Rink
deep frying,
burgers.
like French fries. and
Ugh.
Heating up hot dogs.
I'm sorry, rink fries are delicious.
No, but like the
crinkle
smell of
ones?
it would just hang on you,
Well, yeah,
right?
you'd
Just
have to
go
shower.
home and smell like deep fried.
I mean, you used to cook fries at McDonald's
Yes.
too, right?
Yes.
Anyways, I've never.
So I
cooked
got that
fries.
job. And so I actually worked with Fruits and Passion for 10 years.
Oh,
And I worked my way all the way up through every single role.
It's like the mail. You start in the mail room,
Yeah.
but you started at the
Yes.
gift wrap station.
So it was like gift wrapping, and then it was a part-time employee, and then it was a full-time employee, and then it was a key holder, and then it was assistant manager, and then it was a manager, and then it was a manager of Calgary, and then it was the district manager of Western Canada. For BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan.
Okay,
Oh, no,
DM.
like, legit,
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah, so when Ben and I got married, I was gone half of the month. I would travel 2 out of 4 weeks.
So sorry, how old were you when you were the district manager of Western Canada?
21.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, but mostly
I know,
ladies
right?
listening. That's very
That's
impressive.
very impressive.
It is.
I was doing God knows what at 21.
I was at Outlaws when I was 21.
See,
busted moves.
so serious over here.
And
you
CJ
guys.
was
But that's why I laughed when you were like, "Oh, did you meet at a club?" Because I'm like, she never did that stuff because she was a district manager.
amazing.
So, you know what? I actually was thinking about this. You know, I actually had really good success, like early in life.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so I sometimes think people get, you know, maybe later in life or I don't know when in life. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I want this level of success. And so I actually experienced it very early in hitting a peak sort of in my career. And I was like, basically the next thing in my mind was to go to head office and then was to be the president. And I was like, that's where I'm aiming for. But I was like near the top and I was traveling, right? I had a company car. We traveled. I had computers, like all of that stuff.
So fun.
And then my husband and I built a house, right? Together, which is amazing.
At 21.
Yeah, I think we probably did the house. I'm really, 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 really
You
bad
didn't
with
build it,
timelines.
though.
I didn't build it. We had a home builder build it.
Well, yes, but to
Yeah.
be in a position to be able to build
Correct.
a house
Yes.
in Calgary
Yes.
at such a young age, that's
Yeah.
so impressive.
Yes, totally. And so I think I actually, from experiencing some of that, I was like, okay, now I've had that. I've checked that off my list. I no longer need to chase that, if that makes sense. So
absolutely.
I still want success in certain aspects of my life, but this sort of, I don't know, I don't know if it's like financial, like monetary level, or even just status level. You know what I mean? To be able to be like, oh, look, I did something that I didn't know I could do. Right. And I'm now looking at everything in my life and I'm like, I can do anything because I'm like, you know, I did what I wanted to do back then.
Hey friends, it's Erica. one of my favorite activities is spending time checking out cute local businesses, and Sass Home and Floral is definitely at the top of my list. Sass Home and Floral Boutique is located just outside of Saskatoon in Martinsville, and it's so cute. It is everything you need for gift giving, whether it's a birthday, anniversary, honestly, any celebration you can think of. I personally love to stop in on my way home for last minute gift ideas whenever I need them. Not only do they provide a great space to snag a unique gift, they also create the most beautiful floral arrangements that are perfect for this upcoming Valentine's Day. Did you hear that, Nick? Perfect for Valentine's Day. Like I said, you can find their physical location in Martinsville or visit them online at www.sasshomeandfloral.ca. That's SASHOMEANDFLORAL. Or check them out on Instagram, which is where I personally love to find like all their latest new arrivals at Sass Home and Floral. That's SASHOMEANDFLORAL. Happy shopping, everybody. Hey friends, Erica here to tell you about an upcoming event that I am so excited to attend. The second annual Heart's Desire Gala is happening this October and is one of my favorite events to support. There is a amazing lineup for keynote speakers, you guys. I cannot wait to hear them. We have Christine Marie from Oasis Boutique. You may remember her from actually being on our podcast. Alicia McCarville and Sarah Landry, aka the Bird's Papaya. Like, are you joking? I'm so pumped. The Heart's Desire Gala raises funds for the Little Wonders Family Program, which is based right here in Saskatoon. The Little Wonders Family Program supports families with small children that are facing medical battles. And you guys, this program and its founder, Jen, are incredible. We just spent the weekend with her, and she is just such a light. Okay, so if you're hearing this and you're like, how do I get involved? Turn it up. There are multiple sponsorship levels for this gala, you guys. So there's so many opportunities to make a difference for the Little Wonders families. For more information on how you can become a sponsor, you can connect directly with Jen from Little Wonders on social, which is at Little Wonders Family Program. And to find out more about the work Jen does, visit littlewonders-sask.ca. We cannot wait to see you there. What happened with Fruits and Passions?
Why did you leave the company?
So Fruits and Passion got bought out. So it was owned. It was a Canadian company.
Yes.
It was owned out of Montreal by the Herteaus. And it was amazing. It was so phenomenal, high quality. They actually sold first to S.E. Johnson, I believe.
Oh.
S.E. Johnson, or what's the other one that starts with a P? I think it was S.E. Johnson.
Procter and Gamble?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was.
That was
Johnson and
like,
Johnson?
what's that?
Johnson and Johnson?
Johnson and Johnson.
Is that the same thing?
Maybe.
I don't know. My memory's so bad. Okay, so it was something like that bought it out, and there was very little shift that happened besides a new president in place.
Okay.
Which was a female president, and that's why I was like, I'm coming for your role.
Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. And then, I don't know, for whatever reason, companies sell, right? They build so big, and then they sell, and so they got bought out by LG. Which is a Korean brand, and when you think of LG, you probably think of like electronics,
yeah.
like those types of things. But when you actually go look at their structure, they own everything.
It's
so they have
wild.
a beauty section,
Yeah.
right? So like that's the very tippy top.
And
but
the
I'm like,
umbrellas.
yes, that come out of that. And so from that, things just like wildly shifted. They started closing down Fruits and Passions and moving in some of their brands, and all of these sorts of things shifted. And so at that time when that happened, my husband actually, he was working in construction, and there was a bit of a recession happening, and the recession took longer to hit the construction industry because obviously they have all these contracts far in advance, and then eventually that dries up. And so he got laid off for a period of time. And so he was like, what do we want to do with our life? Where am I going to go next? These types of questions. And one day he came to me and he was like, I think we need to sell the house and all of our things and pack up and go and do school in the US and then move to Asia. And I was like, yes, that sounds fantastic. So we put our house on the market and we sold it in a relatively short period of time. We sold most of our possessions and belongings, just down to like a few things that we kept at families' houses, and went into a backpack and went to the US.
Where in the US did you go to school, and what did you take?
We went to Montana and we did everyone's going to love this, it's going to sound so dry, a school of biblical studies. So we actually studied theology in the Bible for 9 months. And so we worked through the Bible cover to cover 5 times in 9 months.
5 times.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I've never read it.
It's actually a lot. Yeah. It's very intense. And I loved it. And my husband loved it. And it was really impactful in our lives.
Is it a certain college?
It's through an organization called YWAM, Youth with a Mission.
And then so with this degree, is that what you would call?
Nope.
Certificate?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
With this education.
I mean, so the thing is with what we did, we could go on forward to seminary and I'm going to fudge this up so bad, and basically do a year or 2 and we would have like a pastor's degree.
Okay. Got it. And was that the plan?
No. The plan was not to go back to school. The plan was to use what we had learned at this school and take it to Asia. So we went and moved to Taiwan.
Okay.
And we were staff members of the school in Taiwan. And the intention was to go to China and work with the underground church. So we had a flight booked to China. Mm-hmm. And like I think I already mentioned in this episode, we got a phone call from our in-laws.
Yes.
With the diagnosis of my father-in-law. And so we had to make a very fast decision. Do we get on a flight to China or do we get on a flight home? And family always comes first and is the most important. And so we got on a flight home to figure out what that looked like. Mm-hmm. And just, yeah.
But I know the background. So I'm going to press you here and you just tell me if you don't want to say, but you were, the decision to come home from China, there were some other factors in there for you, right?
Yeah.
In terms of what you were dealing with.
Oh, that's a good one. Thanks.
Right. And I'm just like, I know the background, right? I know that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like, I don't ever want to say that like, your father-in-law's diagnosis was like the
cherry on
top of a decision, but I'm like, I think it gave you a space to be like, yes, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
And that I'm going to let you speak to that a little bit about what you were experiencing overseas.
Yeah. So, if I haven't made this aware, I have, been impacted by anxiety, I would say, since childhood. And that's been something that's been present and a part of my life. And definitely as I got older, I started introducing medication and new therapies, that I've used to basically help cope and deal with that, as one does. I decided that with the help of my doctor.
Are you feeling emotional?
No.
Oh, I was like,
not.
your voice go up.
Are we making a joke?
I'm making a joke. I decided that I wanted to try coming off of medication.
Okay.
So a lot of people, I don't know, I shouldn't say a lot of people. I went on medication for my anxiety. There weren't a lot of options at the time that I went on, and they came with a slew of side effects. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, pursuing more of a natural holistic wellness mindset to my journey in my body. And I was like, I don't think that I want to take a medication every day. I want to find out what CJ is like medication free, and that if I have these tools in place that I've now acquired, can I live life at a manageable place without them?
Well, and I have a question because I don't know if this was a factor for you, but going overseas and not having access to specific medications or like, I don't know what that was like for you, but when we went over, right, it was like, you might get a knockoff. You might not get the real thing.
Could they not fill it a certain month prescription for you?
But how do you fill it for the rest of your life?
But if they're going to live there forever.
Right.
Like, how do you...
Got it.
Yes.
We're going to live there forever.
Yes. Was the intention. Like, sold everything. Burned the boats, so to say.
Burn the boats.
And went overseas.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
just didn't know if that was a factor for you, that you were like, oh, I might not have access to this for the rest of my life.
It could have been at the time, for sure. I think my driving motive was wanting to try to be medication free because I had not been in years. And I was like, I want to see what I'm like this. And if I had the tools and the capacity. In hindsight, not a great idea to come off of medication when you were about to go to a new culture and a new space. You already deal with anxiety, CJ. Doing it in your own, the comforts of your own, setting that you're used to may have been easier. But in hindsight, that's what I decided to do. So I came off of medication and I went overseas to Asia, and it was wild. Like, it was really, really, really difficult. I felt constantly overwhelmed. I was very overstimulated, oversensitized. I felt claustrophobic. I felt I had panic attacks. I was just like profusely like tight and sweating and like nauseous and, you know, all of these things that come with sort of feeling anxiety, right? And so I was in this new space of meeting new people, trying to be a staff member, trying to lead. This is going to sound wild, but when my husband and I moved over there, we entered into the end of a school that was already happening. And so there wasn't a space for us to live yet. And so we got placed on the boys' dorm. So we lived in the boys' dorm.
Question. Is this before you did your schooling in Montana?
No, this is
After.
they did their schooling.
Yeah.
You did your schooling. Sorry, I'm confused because you did your schooling.
Yes.
Booked a trip to China.
We
but
went to
then
Taiwan first.
Okay. And then from there, you were going to go to China.
Yes.
Okay.
Which, again, I don't want to get political, but I'm like, you know, it's just so confusing to speak about these things.
I know.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, from China's perspective, Taiwan is a part of China,
Okay.
right? But from
Yeah, but
the
Taiwan's
Taiwanese
perspective,
are like,
Taiwan
no.
is separate.
Yes.
Got it.
Similar to Hong Kong, right? And
Okay.
there's just a lot of political tension between all of those countries.
Got
It's a
it.
fun place.
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
The food is phenomenal.
But also,
My
I
husband
don't
loved
like
it.
I don't like spaces that have like a ton of people. So as
yeah.
you're
So
describing
living on
like
a mini island.
overstimulated, all that, I'm just like, I can only imagine.
And so, like, you know,
so sorry.
where were we?
Where were you living? Just start there.
Yes. Okay. So we were sleeping on the boys' dorm. So there was the boys' dorm and they had all of these different rooms. It was basically like a big common area when you walked in. And then there was a kitchen and obviously like a bathroom. And then there was these offshoots of rooms in this open space. And then there was one room off to the side. And so my husband and I, Ben, we lived in this one room off to the side, which had its own washroom, did not have its own kitchen.
Okay.
So we would have to come out to cook. Cooking in a kitchen that is used by all, well, I guess they're men. I want to say boys, but like, you know what I mean?
Was this high school?
No.
Okay.
This would have been like adult men.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're in warmer temperatures. So there are specific bugs and insects
Ew.
that live in these climates. So imagine walking into your kitchen and there are cockroaches everywhere, maggots,
What?
these types of things. So I refuse to cook in the kitchen for what I think is obvious reasons.
And that was just normal?
It's hard because it's like living on a dorm, right? So imagine like college boys in a dorm, but in a warmer climate. Whereas if you leave out food and plates and don't wash the dishes, this is what happens, right? So I'm like, if you do that in North America, like you might not get
Well, maybe
bugs
eventually
infested.
you'd get like fruit flies.
Yes, you know what I
Right.
mean? But it wouldn't be to the same level
How long were you in the dorm for?
the whole time we were there,
Which was how long?
like 4 months.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So, still. So it was just a very, very interesting time for CJ in her life and just like a mixture of, so what happened was I was really breaking down. Because I did not have my coping tools were not working. I had come off of medication. And so I was just very,
And you're in this environment that sounds very uncomfortable.
yes, for anyone.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not for anyone, but for me and for what I was struggling with, you know, like even you get on the trains, right? And they are packed
Ugh.
full of people and they go fast. And then you get out and you can't speak the language and you're trying to like navigate the streets, right?
Well, and the culture I found, it's because there's so many people, the things that I don't want to say take for granted because I'm not trying to like harp on China or Taiwan or anything like that. But I'm like, it's just so different when you're literally walking down the street and people just knock into you because there's so many people, right?
It's
Whereas
just
here
a
we're like
different
crossing
environment.
the sidewalk
Yes.
to like avoid people. So just the freedom of space, oh my gosh, is just very different.
It's very different.
Yeah, and you would get that in any highly populated,
Yes,
like I
like you
just
went
think
to
of
New
like
York.
New York City, Times Square.
Exactly.
There is
Yeah,
just
just
people
people
crawling.
And I have nothing negative to say about the Taiwanese people. They were phenomenal. They are such a warm culture. It's just literally thinking about living with boys or men on a dorm,
Yeah,
right? Would
sounds-
just be
Like
Yeah.
a lot.
what you're doing, right? So,
So then when you came home, because you guys ended up coming home,
yes.
what was that? Did your like anxiety bounce right back? Were you like, I'm good to go, I'm on my medication, like everyone's happy again? Or was there like
I came home and I fought getting back on medication still. I thought, okay, now that I'm home in my own environment, I thought that I could still do this journey medication free. And that was really hard to come to terms with for me. I remember going to my doctor and he looked at me and he said, do you want quality of life?
Yeah.
Because this is not living, CJ. And he's like, you know, when someone has diabetes or whatever it is and they need insulin, he's like, for you and your brain, you may just need this.
Yeah.
And for your genetic makeup. And I was like,
what did that feel like for you?
Yeah, that felt really hard. That felt really hard to be able to say that I have to be reliant on something.
Why?
Because I don't. I want to be strong and I don't want to be reliant on anything. And I want to be capable in and of myself and to have, I think what I would consider anxiety to me at this time, now reflecting back, is I would call it a thorn in my side. And I would say that it's the thing that has been given to me as my struggle in this life, to be able to connect with others who also have that. And, you know, your greatest struggle is your greatest gift, you know, in how people say that. And I'm like, this has been given to me to keep me humble, to keep me, you know, this is my burden to bear, I guess, in the way that I've been set up. And I think that it has allowed me to connect with people on a different level. Because again, when you've gone through something hard, there's clubs that no one wants to be a part of. But once you're inside of that club, you can bring light. Right? Where some other people might not be able to walk into.
So currently, what does your journey with medication look like for anxiety? Are you currently taking something? Have you found something that works better for you?
Yeah, that's such a journey. And I don't know if other people can relate to this. If you've been on medication before for anxiety, depression, or any sort of mental health, the gamut of things that come in the mental health umbrella. I am currently on medication. I have found something that works for me. I'm on what I would consider the lowest dosage of that medication. And maybe that's a pride thing that makes me feel like, okay, I'm at the lowest percentile of what's needed for me to function day to day. Like to be able to be functioning day to day. I have a lot of other tools that I use, obviously, as we all do. Again, I think like your support system is super important. I think understanding yourself and how you're made up and what triggers you, right? And either being able to identify that and then move forward and being like, okay, this is a trigger, but I'm going to be okay. Or this is a trigger and I need to remove myself from this situation. I definitely have found ways to sort of reset myself. The only thing I would say is, for me, I often find my anxiety and depression go hand in hand. And so when my anxiety gets really high, because I'm such a driven person, in previous years, I feel like my body will then send me into depression to bring me and my levels down because I'm just in such high cortisol. And then I'll just go from being so driven, so in it, so buzzing, to just all emotion removed. Right. And that feeling of depression, and you're just like staring at this, like I have no inhibition and no motivation, which always feels very weird for me because at my nature and my core, I am a very driven person. So when I don't feel that, I'm like, oh, this is weird. So what I am doing now to manage in my life is basically, if you were to think about, you know, a sound wave going up and down or a wave going up and down, I try and keep myself as close to the center line in between. So not super high and not super low. Like the closer I can keep it to equilibrium, the better. So I definitely still go up and I definitely still go down. But if I notice myself going too far up, I know that a crash is coming. Right. And so I have to do things to bring myself down.
What are some of the things you do?
I think I need to be alone. I think that sleep is so important. Like sleep is so foundational, right? This is going to sound very cliche, but drinking a lot of water, eating some really nourishing foods, getting sunlight, getting vitamin D, having good conversations with people that you love, taking it easy, you know, doing those simple, small, like exercise, getting out for a walk, right? And knowing that if I do those things for a period of time, that eventually the emotion that I'm feeling will change and that the train will go in a new direction, right? Sometimes I think we're so driven by emotion and our feelings, realizing that if you make a shift with your actions, at the front of the train, not the caboose, what's the opposite?
The engine.
The engine.
I was like, I don't know the front.
If you make a change with an action in the engine in the front, eventually those cars behind will line up with that change that you've made in the engine. So I always try and take an action and steps towards bringing myself back into equilibrium, knowing that my body will follow suit eventually and even out.
So if you were to give any like helpful advice or tips to someone who thinks they're like dealing, like maybe they have anxiety or maybe they've just been like diagnosed, like do you have anything that you're like, this is like a high recommend, or anything you've read? Or like, I know you're big on sources and like learning, so I'm just wondering if you have anything like that you could share.
A book that really helped me was called When Anxiety Attacks. Panic Attacks? When Anxiety Attacks. I don't know. It's one of those two. I think it's Dr. D. Burns or something like that. Look it up. You'll find it somewhere under that. That really helped me articulate actually to my friends and family members. I had them read it as well because for a long time, oh my gosh, we needed a different episode for this. My family didn't understand what I was going through.
Yes, that's very common.
Yeah. And so they were like, I don't know how to help you. I don't know what's going on, and so sharing that book with them, that book actually has very tangible tools. So if you're in a space where, for a long time financially, I could not see a counselor, right? And I couldn't get access to that. And so this book actually has some tools and some worksheets that you can go through. So maybe if you do it by yourself or with a trusted friend or family member, there's some insight in there that you probably could get from a counselor as well and start to walk through. And I definitely know I've taught people in my life some of those techniques later and referred back to them. So that book actually was really, really helpful along my journey. I think knowing that you're not alone, right? Like, again, I think more of this is coming out to the forefront and we're understanding, but I even think to the generation before me, right? And I can think of people in my family that probably had these diagnoses, and didn't have any tools, right? And again, even for me, I think to my childhood, like all the way up until I was like 17, 18. And then they were like, why is CJ having panic attacks and waking up in the middle of the night screaming at the top of her lungs for hours, right? Like people just didn't know what that was. Like, is she psychotic? Has she had a break, right? Like just not knowing what a panic attack is and where all of those things come from. So I would say, no, you're not alone. There are great resources out there. Get the help that you need. Medication is okay. Talk to your doctor, obviously. But if that's something that you and your body needs to be able to function and to have a quality life, which is what I need at this point, for me to function and have a quality life, then that's okay. Was that helpful? Was that tools?
That was
Absolutely.
Great. I like really am having a hard time that we need to wrap up because I was like, I feel like we just got into the meat of it. But the good news is that CJ's a constant guest. So we can like,
surprise.
well, you like keep talking about this. But I think what you shared is really helpful. And I just love it because I really didn't know where your episode was going to go today. Like I really just was kind of like came into it being like, oh, we're just going to chat and that'll be nice.
We laughed. We cried. We shared
I'm so glad we laughed too.
Oh my gosh,
that
so
was
many
good
laughs.
It was good.
So we're going to end this now with our question, which is the best piece of advice you've ever been given. Can you share that with us?
I honestly think that I really go back to my main man, Jesus. But you reap what you sow, right? And so I'm like, you can't plant a watermelon seed and get a radish, right? I'm like, I know.
I was going to say Ferrari.
She's so funny because she always says the most random things.
I know, which is
That's
one of
my
my favorite
MO.
things about you. But yeah,
But I'm like,
you
you can't plant something and then get something else, right? And so again, just on theme for us this week, I'm like, whatever you want to reap is what you have to sow. But if you sow that, one plant does not give off one seed. That one plant will now give off hundreds, tenfold, thousandfold of those seeds. And there's different seasons in life, right? So there is a planting, there is a growing, there is a reaping, right? There's all of these different seasons. There's a winter, right? I'm just like not naming them correctly, but you get my drift. So I think just understanding that you reap what you sow.
That's
I love it.
Well, where can we find you? Where can people come and get more of you?
You can't get more of me anywhere because I'm a private closed book.
Because her cards are in her back pocket.
Hey, we're doing a pretty good job. We did a pretty good job today of opening up, which is really fun.
I mean, like,
learned a lot.
I thought you were
people.
okay. I was
I'm just being a wiener.
Oh, wiener.
tell people.
And just being a wiener. No, you can follow me, honestly, here at the podcast. You will see me a little bit. You will see me for my work at Carousel Media Management. And then I do have a personal page, but you guys, I'll just be open and honest. I'm currently on hiatus from it. I am signed out because I just really want to focus on the things that are important to me right now. And I'll come forth when I'm ready to come forth.
I love it.
You know,
right.
No one can rush baby.
Well,
No one can put baby in the corner
That's
either.
exactly what I was trying to say. Yep. It's great.
never gets it right.
If we're going to quote Dirty Dancing, we got to do it correctly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I love it.
Well,
Thank you for
thanks
sharing
visiting,
with us, CJ.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome, because you're part of the crew.
Yeah,
We kinda had to.
Lots back again.
It was
Bye,
actually scheduled. Bye, Singlet.
Black Widow.
Bye. Oh my God.
Black Widow.
Peace out, Jewel.
Want to have your business featured on the Her Podcast? Simply send us a DM or an email to itsherpod@gmail.com.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the Her Podcast. If you want to follow along with us, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at its.her.podcast. We can't wait to see you there.
Bye. Bye.